see fat oxidation. And then on the x-axis, he had power output in watts. Now at baseline, so how they conducted the study was over like the first 10 minutes, they're like warming up on the bike, right? They got to stay below 100 watts on the bike, and then after about 10 minutes, they start measuring their fat oxidation. Okay? What we're seeing with the person with metabolic syndrome starts off at a low fat oxidation, right? At starting point, which is roughly 100 watts. And then they get to zero fat oxidation very quickly at around 200 watts. So at that moment where there's zero fat oxidation, they've completely switched into carbohydrate metabolism. Is 200 is super high wattage? No, it's like fairly low, right? So they're almost switching right away. As soon as they start moving and doing like any kind of intensity whatsoever, they're switching into carbohydrate metabolism. The person who's working out 3 times per week, sitting on the well side of the continuum, they have a little bit higher fat oxidation at baseline. They follow a similar slope, but because they start higher, they also switch at a higher power output, around 300 watts. Okay, so it takes them a little bit longer, a little bit more effort, a higher power output to switch from fat to carbohydrate metabolism. And that tells us that they are more metabolically flexible than the person who's sick. Okay? And then the pro cyclist, they start off at a high baseline. We actually see that they increase their fatty acid oxidation before they decrease. And they got up to like 400 watts before they switched. And this is after 30 minutes, after an hour, after 90 minutes, incrementally going up, roughly every 10 minutes, right? So they've been on the bikes for quite some time by the time they're getting out to those 400 watts. And so what do we see here? We see definitely that an increase in fitness promotes metabolic flexibility, right? So you could argue that the cyclist just through training that high volume of cycling is creating that metabolic flexibility. But we can also say that the person who gets off the carbs and starts to reverse their metabolic syndrome, just by doing that, they can start moving in this direction and increasing their metabolic flexibility.